What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some very important levels to watch from what we're seeing on the charts. But just notes that I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposit $1,000 and you're guaranteed 15. Not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. The offerings in a few weeks. Anyways, for Tesla, we're looking more bullish right now as we had some bullish news that came out involving the Chinese sales and also some new model potential for Tesla. But as you guys can see, we have a nice accumulation so far, and Tesla's attempting to break out. As long as we try to break past this 217 area, I do think we're going to be on our way to fill this imbalance into the 220 area. So we do look more bullish for now. We'll see how things develop. But just notes that there are some big headlines coming out. Tesla's potentially planning a 6-seat Model Y. Production was once again could be starting in 2025, according to sources. I wouldn't say this is 100% confirmed, but there are a lot of sources that are saying that. And Tesla appears to be asking for a double-digit increase in Model Y output at the Shanghai factory, and a new variant could be coming of the Model Y with the six-seater, 6 seats in total, essentially. And there's also going to be a lot of talk about how there's increased popularity of the Model Y. There's also been some talk about how there's going to be some work to see if there's an approval to increase their Gigafactory and their production there. But this is pretty cool. This is also going to be in commemorance of what was said about the Model Y being revamped back in 2020. So it's pretty cool in my personal opinion. And on top of this, I think that with this being the best seller in China, this is some very, very big news. And I can't wait to see if this, excuse me, ends up being the case. Pretty cool stuff so far. This is what sources are suggesting. On top of this, just some news coming out about their Chinese sales. They're up about 3% year over year. And also, they're up quite a bit, like 17% from July in China. So the Chinese sales are looking pretty good. That came out for the month of August. On top of this, there's going to be a lot more growth coming. But as you guys can see, Tesla is once again meeting a lot of their goals thus far. Seeing some nice growth is pretty good. And they're projecting to hit about 65,000 units in August, which is once again the growth that we saw. And they ended up beating expectations, at least on that end. So not bad whatsoever. So nice growth has been achieved, at least thus far. And there's a lot more potential for us as well. So good job by Tesla. For more news about the market, just note that for Tuesday, which is today, at 15 minutes after the market opens, we do have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI coming out, and then 30 minutes after market open, we have the S&P Global. We have the manufacturing PMI, the manufacturing employment, not to mention new orders and prices. So we want to see what this leads to. Manufacturing prices and new orders will be very important. So I think there's going to be some very important volatility at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look for a big move then for the markets. This could affect Tesla as well. And besides that, I'm not really seeing anything else that's too crazy for the markets. We're kind of gapping down so far for many indices, but we'll see if we get a pump or not to these new highs. This is what the earnings calendar looks like. There's not really much coming out. So that being said, let's talk about the market right now. So as far as Tesla goes, we're going to be looking at this resistance at this 217 area. If we manage to crack the 217s, we're going up to 220. And we also have support currently in the 215 area. If 215 fails us, we'll be looking for this 212 area as support, not to mention all the way back down towards this 210 area. In my personal opinion, Tesla has potential for more upside. We'll see if we start off with the dip and how we react to the data, of course, but there is potential for this to push higher. Looking at a nice cup that's trying to form. We'll see if Tesla can break through this resistance in this 217 area. If we do so, we'll be looking for a new high. We will be breaking out for these imbalances. So watch and see if we get a little retracement when we open, what kind of reaction we get to the data. But like I said, there is upside potential there for Tesla. Now, as far as SPY goes, I'm a little bit concerned about this. So we had a bullish close on the daily. We looked pretty strong on Friday, only for us to get knocked back down. So, it's unfortunate because we looked like we were about to break out of this range. It really looked like it to me, and we haven't been able to do so yet. It depends now if we could hold the 20 EMA at this 560 area. If we hold this, I'll be looking for a rebound, knock up towards 562 at least, if not towards the highs, as we are technically gapping down. And if we fail, if we end up not holding 560, we're looking for a dip back down to 558. So we will see which way we break depending on the data. There is potential for us to try to rebound if this trend line holds. This is going to be very pivotal. Can we hold this data? Can we hold this trend line after the data comes out? So I'll be watching to see. There are a lot of trades here. One thing that's worth noting is that there's a lot of consolidation right now, at least for stocks like SPY. So we've been just shopping quite a bit, going back and forth between supply and demand. So we're going to be watching to see if SPY gets a dip or if we try to break through this. We're going to be very patient, so give this the time it needs. But if anything, we are still holding up and we're just range balanced. We just have to see what kind of reaction we get to our data. As far as Nvidia goes, on the 4-hour time frame, we had our 200 EMA. We are starting to lose our key support on Nvidia, which is not a good sign. If we had held this, we'd be looking for that rebound to 122. Since we're not holding 117, I want to urge everyone to be kind of careful with Nvidia. We need to reclaim at least 117 to turn back up to 122. Otherwise, this is at risk of dipping down towards, well, the first level is going to be this 114 area, followed by the gap fill down here. So it looks a little bit weaker now. And if Nvidia does end up continuing to sink, this could drag the market lower and SPY might end up failing, unfortunately. So very tricky market. We looked really, really nice over the weekend. We looked like we wanted to squeeze. But unfortunately, the market is back in its range right now. For Bitcoin, we're currently testing 59,400 as resistance. If we break there, we're going up to 60,500. And if we lose 58,793, we're going to be tipping back down towards 58,000. So we're kind of stuck within this range. We'll see if 59,464 breaks. We'll be very patient just to see how things go. So give this the time it needs. For ES is still trying to uptrend. We'll see if we get a bounce off this trend line. We have 562.25 as our support. If that fails us, we're going down to 5,600. If we hold this, we could rebound to 5,650. So we'll see how it goes. For the QQQ, we're dipping a little bit. We're back to about 473, which is actually not that bad. We're looking at support now at 472.75 or 50 EMA. If that fails us, we're going all the way back down closer to 468. If we hold 472, we could rebound for 475 or higher. So we're still stuck within this range. We'll see if we get a bounce or not, depending on the data that comes out. So be very patient with all the manufacturing numbers. For Apple, we're barely at support now. We could be dipping down to this imbalance towards 227 as support. Not to mention the gap fill at 226. We could dip a little bit more before we try to bounce, but we got to get back above 228 and 230 to turn back up. It still could dip a little bit before it tries to get that bounce, so we'll see. The Russell is rejecting. We were supposed to hold this trend. We're now starting to fail. So we're going to be looking at support at this 217.65 area, followed by 216.5 or 50 EMA. If that fails, we're going to be looking for a bigger dip to 214. To turn back up, you want to break past 218 and 220. There is a risk of this dipping a little bit lower, so we'll see if we get a bounce, but it might dip just for a bit. For Amazon, I was hoping that we would try to break our 200 EMA. If we broke this, we're going back up for that 180 target. We're coming short so far, so we'll see how it reacts here. If we don't get back above 178, we're at risk of dipping back down to 175, so be mindful of that. Meta's consolidating right now. If we manage to break past 520, we're looking for basically 525. And if we lose support around this 516 area, we'd be dipping all the way down to 512. So let's see, we're just kind of consolidating. Microsoft is trying to uptrend right over here. If we hold above 415, we could be pushing for 420. And if we lose 415, we could be dipping to 412. So we'll see how it goes. And then Google is also consolidating. We look a little bit weak if we don't hold 163. We're at risk of hitting the lows here. So we'll see if we get a bounce on this. It is looking a little bit weaker to me, so we got to hold this support right here at 163.5. Otherwise, we're at risk of dipping lower. So we'll see how things go. With that being said, Tesla looks like it's outperforming the market a bit. It does have some more upside potential if we could break this 217 area. If we don't hold 215, I'd be looking for 212, not to mention 210. There is potential for Tesla to try to push higher, but don't forget that the market is now going to be dependent on the manufacturing numbers. So we'll see how that goes, at least for now. With that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day. Watch your levels carefully and get ready for some high volatility at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.